everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Amy's Inspiration Station on the Altenew YouTube and Facebook channels. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I believe Angel is behind the badge, and so give a huge shout out to her. And if you share this live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card to Altenew. So I'm so excited to have you here today. And I'm also excited because today I'm going to be playing with a new to me product, and it's also a new subscription, and it is called Stencil Art. And let me grab that and I'll just show it to you guys. And this is going to be bi-monthly, which means that it's going to come out every other month. All right, so it's going to be out every other month. So right now all the subscriptions are monthly, and this is going to be every other month. And it is really, it's adorable. I love it. I've been playing around with it. I have kind of like two different ways of playing with it today. And it's a huge set. So there's 6 stencils in here, and you actually get 2 different designs, and I'll show you how that works because it's a little tricky. I had to look at it a couple of times, but you can see right here these really, really pretty flowers, and I'll show you what to do. So that's what we're going to do. And I have kind of 2 different ways of playing with it. So I inked it, so I'll show you what that looks like, but I also watercolored. I don't know. I'd really love to know if you've ever watercolored your stencils and kind of laid them on top of each other. Do you have a little bit of tips and tricks if you've ever watercolored your stencils? So let me know. I'm going to go 2 ways. You guys can tell me, you know, hey, I think I'd like you to ink it, or I'd like you to do watercolor. Let me know which way you'd like to do, and we'll go either way. So it'll be up to you. And I'm so excited. We got a lot of friends here today. And like I said, I believe it's Angel behind the badge. Hello, give her a little bit of love. And thank you so much, Angel, for putting those up. We're going to be, if you share this live while we're live and invite your friends along, you will be entered to win a $15 gift card. Just let us know where that you've shared this and where you've shared it. And Angel will be pulling those at the end of our live today. And Tracy is here. I hope your weather is doing great, Tracy, where you are. And Vicky's here. Vicky, thank you so much for sharing. And Elizabeth, yes, I'm so excited for this stencil. I know it's already live on the website. Very excited. And then you can also join. And the nice thing about the subscription is you get a preview every month or each time it comes out, and then you can decide whether you'd like want to pass on it, or you can actually go ahead and pay it. So they won't process your payment until that time, which is kind of neat that you have an ability to do that. And thank you so much for sharing this, Tracy. And Nancy, I hope you are doing well. And Liliana, and from New York, close to me. And Serena, thank you for sharing it. And watercolor, Tracy, I'll show you, Tracy. I'll show you what it looks like. And Cece is here. I hope you're doing well, Cece, and not too snowed in where you are. And rainy in Florida. Yeah, I'm going to say we had a little snow up here where we are, and but a lot of rain too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot my camera down to the mat. And Barbara, I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining us from Italy. Oh, I wish I was there. I got to tell you, I do wish I was there. Best food ever that I've had in Italy. The best food ever. All right, so we got a couple of things. So let me show you this stencil. So this stencil is really cool. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. It's actually 6 stencils, but 5 of them create this image. And let me just show you my image. This is the one that I've done from inking, and this is the one I've done with watercoloring, and I'll show you both of them. And I like that it has these like 2 sets of leaves that you can color a little bit differently. And then, so there's actually 5 stencils that coordinate to make these images. Yes. Oh, jelly plate with layering stencils. That's way too much. That's a lot, Cece. I got to tell you, that's a lot. The jelly plate. I haven't figured out jelly plates. I got to tell you. Then this also comes with a 6th stencil. That's a 6th stencil, and it can actually make this image. And if I have a little bit extra time, I thought I'd play around because I haven't used this one yet. So I have not used this one. I know, Barbara, you're going to be getting a lot of friends who are going to be coming over and joining you over in Italy right now. Tracy and I are already ready to go. Love it. Love it over there. All right. And lots of snow in Sweden. I wish we had more, Cece, but unfortunately we don't, but we'll see. All right. So we have this. So I thought the other thing I'd kind of play around with today is layering stencils. And I know this is a layering stencil, but I mean like layering different stencils on top of each other. So this one here, I used the Warp Speed stencil, and this is kind of an oldie but a goodie. It's a stencil that I kind of think about sometimes that's very masculine, and it's not one I've always used with florals, and I was like, "You know what? I actually think it would look cool with florals." And so I used a little bit of seashore, and I just let that come right underneath this, and I just thought this little scripty font would be nice with it, and then I popped it all up with a little bit of foam tape. And so this isn't layered. Well, this is layered because I have this on here, but I don't have like a mat or anything, but I thought that came out really pretty. And then I added some gold detail, and I'll show you how I did that. And then this one I kind of popped today. So here, I did not put it together because I wanted to show you guys the different pieces of it. This is actually made with watercolor and the leafy bed stencil, which is the leaf bed stencil. I apologize. The leaf bed stencil. And this is such a neat stencil. It's very like flappy. So it's one of those ones you have to be careful when you put down. But I thought it would make this really neat effect with watercolor. And so I'll show you how I did this. And that I think is just even cool in itself with like, if you put some like gray florals on here, I think it would be cool. And then I actually went ahead and I stenciled the Playful Watercolor flowers. And so this is kind of my thought process of the whole thing. And I'll show you how I did this. And I agree with, became a fire. Yes, it became, that's what I was thinking, Cece. It's like mostly like fireworks, right? And Elizabeth, yes, when I watercolor it's under stencils, it bleeds under. I'm going to show you like a little trick of how to make sure that it doesn't go too much. And so also we don't have to lose all of those details. But I thought this was kind of cool. And thanks, Ginger. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. And so that was my other card. I thought it was kind of neat because you have this little like purple kind of peeking through with a little bit of that dark blue, and then it kind of fades into this green. So I thought that was pretty cool, right, Leslie? Like so neat. It kind of like cool. It's a neat little effect. So I didn't want to put this on because I wanted to show you guys what this looks like. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you want me to watercolor the stencil? Do you want me to blend the stencil? So watercolor, blend, watercolor, blend, watercolor. You're going to pick watercolor. I know. Hey, Brandon, snowing in Houston. Oh my gosh. Watercolor, blend. All right, Ginger's got blend. We got one for blend. Watercolor, watercolor, 2 for watercolors. Watercolor 3. Watercolors, watercolors. I think we're going blends. We got 2. Then watercolors, 15. Negative 15 in Minnesota. Oh my gosh. All right, it looks like the watercolors are having it. So let's head over to watercolors. All right, so I'm going to keep this up here. It's a nice little way to kind of see what else we got going on. If I have some time, I'm going to go ahead and blend this, but I'll start off, as I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have today with this, but I'll definitely post both of these cards up here. Yeah, the watercolor, I got to agree. The watercolor, I think, is the way to go. All right, so let's start here. I'm also going to show you how I did this little background, and I'm actually going to start with that background first. So that's with this leaf bed stencil. So there, I know that Altenew has some newer watercolor papers out. I don't have those, but I have these ones, which I still love. So this is the 9x12 sheets, and I'm going to use this for the flower. And then these are also the already cut A2 size sheets. So I'm going to grab one of these right now. And I have next to me my little watercolor. So I got this little vessel, I guess, clay vessel at an artist's like cooperative. And I actually just think it's cool. It's kind of funky, the glaze on it. It's kind of an imperfect thing. And it's one of those things that it reminds me that it's okay to be imperfect. And so that's where I'm like, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, to have that. All right, so this is the artist's 24 pan watercolor set. And so I have my I got my little watercolor set. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some water to this. And I'm going to use the flat brush here. And this is out of the artist's watercolor brush set. And I like this set because it's got like a whole bunch of different sizes to it. Okay, so I'm not putting on too much water. This is enough water. It's just enough. I'm just kind of lightly coating some water. Now I'm going to grab the number 4 brush, And I'm just going to make sure that's good. And I'm just going to start off with some shades of purple. And I'm just going to grab some color and I'm just going to start shoving it down here. And I want this coat to be relatively light. And I'm just going to go with a little bit of purple. And if I feel like I'm getting a little bit of dry, I'm just going to go ahead and add some water in. And that's really kind of the way that this goes. It's really about the artistry. I feel like sometimes is like adding that water in. I'm just going to grab my flat brush just to kind of get it so it's even. I want a little bit more color. I'm going a little bit too low, so I'm going to add in some more color. Well, Tracy, I know, but that's watercoloring is not, you know, I'm better probably with colored pencils. Watercolor is a newer medium for me. And so it's something that I have to remind myself that it's okay. I got to go with the flow. I got to kind of like let it lie. It's all right. All right. So now I'm going to jump in and I'm going to grab some Starry Night and I'm just going to go ahead and push those in. And again, I want a light color. So I'm just going to continue to add water to get that blend out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. And then I'm going to add the stencil on top of it and do this again. Again, just adding a little bit of water. So I'm going to come in with my big brush and go for it. And then all I'm trying to do, I just wanted to blend these two together. And then I just want to kind of get this to be a little bit lighter. All right, so now I'm going to come in with some green. Same brush, I'm just cleaning my brush off. And I'm going to grab some green hills. And I'm just going to come in with some green down here. And come on in. And watercolor, I love playing with it. I am by no means, you know, I have to work at it. I guess I'll put it that way. You got to work at it. Okay. All right. So there is my, oh, thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing this. And you too could be like Jennifer. You could be entered to win a gift card to Altenew. Just let us know where that you've shared this live while we're live and where you have shared it. And we have the amazing Angel behind the badge today, and she will announce that winner when we're done. All right, so I'm just going to set this aside to dry. So I'm just going to let it go. And yes, these brushes are from Altenew. Ginger, let me show you because I was so excited about watercoloring. I did not show them. So let me pop those in right now. This is a great set. This is the Artist watercolor set, and it comes in this little case too, which is neat. And it comes with, I've taken them out. It comes with 5 brushes. Oh, that's not one of them. This is one of them. That's the 4. And then it comes with the flat brush. So it comes with all of these brushes. And what's neat, oh, thank you so much for they are out of stock. This is one of those ones. Make sure that you look at to restock. And it's neat because you get the wide flat one, and then you get a 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you get these different sizes, and that's what I'm doing. There's also the these ones, which are like the fine watercolor brushes, and these are super great for like detail stuff, which we're going to be using. So I have those kind of on the side over here because I'm going to use those. So I pulled out the flat brush, the 4, and the 1, and those are the ones I'm going to be using. All right. So this I'm going to set aside. We're not going to worry about it. I'm just going to set that aside, and now we're going to look at the stencils. Okay. So again, we're going to be using the Playful Watercolor Flowers stencils, and we're going to be watercoloring that. All right, so putting that over on the side so we know where we're heading to. This we don't need. All right, so I'm going to grab a large piece of the 9x12, okay? Oh, yes, absolutely. And Ginger, I'm still newish at watercoloring. It's not something that I do that's like a lot of times, but this is something that I enjoy it. It's like a little bit different. It forces you to like slow down. And that's kind of the nice thing about it too, because you can't go fast. And a lot of times I'm just trying to get things done and I just want to kind of go fast. All right. So this Stencil Art This is live now. This is a great thing. Like I said, this is part of the this is part of a new subscription called Stencil Art, and this is going to be coming out every other month. Yes, I agree, Leslie. It's practice, practice, practice. I completely agree. And even when you think you got it, you still keep practicing, right? So the 5 stencils, and we're going to be going 1 through 5. Like I said, number 6 is a completely different flower. We're going to start here. I started with my leaves last time, but I'm actually going to start with the flowers. And I'm not going to cut this paper until we're done. And I'm going to explain why in a second. This is a pretty, it's kind of a cool little set because you have these flowers, but then you also have these buds. So it asks, I'm going to put these suckers right smack dab in the middle. And I'm just going to grab my B1. Where are you, B1? What's going to happen, and the reason why I'm going to start here, but I'm going to grab this because this kind of tells us where the extent of this is going to go. And it's a little bit bigger than a 6x6. So I just wanted to show you, it is a 6x6, but it's kind of funky. So I'm just going to say that it's probably just a good idea to start with something that's a little bit of a larger than a piece of paper than a 6x6. And there's 2 big leaf stencils, B and C. And here is C. And again, all I'm doing right now is I'm just figuring out placement. I'm just making sure that my piece of paper is large enough. All right, I'm good. I'm looking good. So the first thing that they ask you to do is on this stencil, there's these 3 little holes, 1, 2, 3. And all I'm going to do on this is I'm just going to use my pencil to just put those holes in. And that's so it's easier to line up these other sides. We're going to get rid of that in just a second. All right. Okay, so now I have this. I'm going to grab my satin masking tape, and I'm going to all of a sudden get to work. So let me grab my satin masking tape, and I'm just going to push this stencil down. It's not going to be too crazy. In fact, I think I'm just going to use the tape that's over here that I already have down. And I'm just going to be focusing on A1. And when I get stencils, especially ones that have a lot of pieces to them, what I do is I take like a fine liner or a Sharpie, and all I'm doing is I just mark them off so I can read them better. And that's just me because I need glasses and I'm having a little trouble with the eyesight. So that's all me. All right, so here's my artist marker. I'm actually going to pull in my medium palette, and this is just something that I always like to have. I know people like to mix colors on the 24 Artist pan, and you can totally do that. I just like to have it all on one thing, and then I can clean this off. It keeps my thing cleaner. It's not necessary, but it's just something that I kind of like to do. All right, so I'm going to grab my number 4 brush here. And I'm just trying to make sure that it's clean because I used this for my last little thing. So I'm just making sure it's got some clean water. And I'm going to, did I add the, yes, I did. No, those are on there, Tracy. The A1, the A2, and the A3. All I did was I just took a pen and I just outlined them. And now they're on there because I used like a Sharpie pen. That's all. That's all I did. All right, so I'm going to grab some cherry blossom. And I'm just going to put a little on here just so I can grab at it. And I have a cat hair. I'm going to take that out of the brush. So I got a cat hair in there. Now I'm going to get a lot of water because I don't want my base of my flower to be this dark. So I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of water, and I'm just going to go ahead and just add that too. And you can see that my water, even though this brush, even though you just saw me dip it in there, it's probably pretty fairly faint for you guys, but I'm just adding this in. And if you're stuck, you can grab like a bone folder and just make sure that it's not going, that water is not going under. And I don't have this like super saturated. All right, I'm going to grab a little water, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of that cherry blossom, and I'm just going to give it just a little bit more of a tint. There we go. And since I already had that water under here, it's just going to start to fall into place where I want it to go. And I love watercoloring. It's like, this is what I kind of felt like I needed to do today. I just kind of needed a little bit of relaxation today, a little bit of fun. I don't know if you, are you guys watercolors? Do you like to do watercolor? It takes time. So I don't always have that opportunity to do it because it takes time. I have to sit down and I have to think about it and kind of do some other things like that. By the way, what I'm holding in my hand is a nail file. There's not a crafty tool. I don't know. Somehow it ended up in my craft room and it hasn't gone down to where it needs to live. So I've been kind of keeping it around. So if you're like, what are you holding? What crafty tool is that? It's just a nail file. All right, so I'm going to come in again. Again, I'm just grabbing very, very light wash of this cherry blossom. And the important thing here is I'm going to be drying my layers. And by drying my layers, I can make sure that the bottom layers are going to stay the color that they are. So even though I can reactivate them if I want to, I want them to be, yeah. Yes, this is definitely glazing. Thank you, Leslie, for bringing that up, because that is the official term for this. We are glazing. And you're just kind of building up layers and layers of color with this. All right, so I'm going to come up. So I'm going to pull that. Now you can see those 3 dots, and that's really helpful. So I'm going to move these guys, and I'm just going to come in with my heat tool, and I'm just going to really, really quickly hit this. Now remember, I didn't add like a lot of water, so this won't take that long to dry. And I'm just kind of messing around with it. All right, there we go. And if you're really nervous, I'm okay about my mat, like with the heat tool and stuff. If you're really nervous, if you use a silicone mat, that would totally be totally fine to do. Yes, Elizabeth, I'm with you. I love the medium. Oh, and hi, Brian. Oh, you have a nasty snowy day down there in Mississippi? Oh, I got to tell you, winter is here, man. Winter is here, at least in our area. It is definitely here. All right, so there's 3 more dots. You can see 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take those 3 dots and I'm going to line them up with my first 3 dots. And that's the easiest way to line this sucker up, is just to get those 3 dots in there. All right, so now we're going to come in with a darker color. So I'm actually going to use that cherry blossom that's on here. And instead of watering it down so much, now I'm actually going to use it a little bit more full strength on this one. All right. All right. So this is my #1 brush. And by using the #1 brush, I can kind of get into a little bit more nooks and crannies in here. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Again, not so much water. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit more full strength in this. And now I'm just going to start to paint. And that color is going to move in. And here's my nail file. I'm just going to keep this down just to kind of make sure that water doesn't go where I don't want it to go. And I'm being really careful. And that's why I moved over to the #1 brush, because I didn't want it to have too much going on. And just a little bit of water. I don't want this to escape on me, so I'm just adding just a little bit of water. All right, so now I'm going to come in. Now I'm just going to drop this color in. So this is kind of the little bit of a darker, but I'm using the same color. It's just a little bit darker. So I haven't watered it down as much. And then there's a 3rd layer that's coming in as well. And I'll show you what I do. Oh, thanks, Brian, for the thumbs up reminder. I appreciate it. And we are playing around with the Playful Watercolor Stencils today. And this is part of the Stencil Art subscription. This is live now, so this is a great time to go ahead and grab that. This is first. You're going to be the first one to have this. It's really, really super nice. All right, so now I'm going to come in with my other flower over here. And again, I'm just adding just a little bit of water. I want it to move And then I'm going to come in with that color. So this is my cherry blossom. So I'm coming in with cherry blossom. And there's also watercolor pencils. And so if I lose or I want to add a little bit more definition, I can always use those watercolored pencils. Need some more color here. All right, and if I'm not talking a lot, it's because, oh my gosh, Sue, you're going to be so excited. I think it's going to be fun. I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, you know, it would be fun to watercolor this. You could use artist markers with the stencils as well. You can just clean off your stencils with a little bit of alcohol. That's easy to do. There's even those acrylic markers. I don't have those yet. Those are coming out. That would be pretty to do. Gouache. I was actually going to use the gouache today, but I'm like, I felt like watercoloring. So, all right. So that is our second layer. So let me just clean this brush off. And then we're going on. All right. We're at 4 o'clock. Okay. So now I'm going to move this. And so now you can see how pretty that is. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to just dry this real quick. And now we're going to come in with the third layer, and I'm going to use those 3 dots to line it up again. And then all of the other layers are kind of lined up off of the flowers. Wouldn't you, Tracy? I know. I have to get better at the gouache. It's not my medium yet, but it's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to come in. Let me just dry off my stencil. Make sure I don't add pink where I don't want it. So I have a little cloth next to me, a little bit of kitchen towel. Oh, and I did it again. I do it every single time. Oh my goodness. Every single time, guys. I swear. Every single time. You see those two things that look like little cow prints? Those are buds. And I always forget to put in the buds. And now I lost my, here it is. Oh, every single time. All right. I'm going to go straight from the source on this too, just because I want those to be nice and dark. Those are going to become important later. We'll leave those alone. Can be dried with the heat gun? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Yes, you definitely can, because it's water in there. So we can definitely dry that with the heat gun. All right, so I'm going to move this. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to put the stencil down and those are going to explode on me. I'm going to move this, and I'm going to use those 3 dots again in order to line this up. All right, so dot and dot and dot. There we go. All right, so now we have our third layer. And this time I still have that cherry blossom. So we used cherry blossom for 2 of the layers. So I'm going to introduce another color in here. And it's actually going to be shades of purple. So I'm going to pull in some purple here. And I'm going to make these 2 have a baby. All right, so I'm going to use the cherry blossom that I have left over and make a baby with these. All right, so I add a little bit of water, and I think I need a little bit more cherry blossom. And now I have a shades of purple and cherry blossom baby. All right. Horse hooves. They totally look like horse hooves to me. Like, whoa. All right, so this time I'm going to go in. I want to be a little bit darker. I'm going to add a little bit of water just to get stuff moving. And I'm going to use my little guy here just to make sure that my water goes where I want it to go. Whoops, that one spilled. He's too wet. All right, so here we go. This is spreading a little bit. There we go. My water on that first one was a little wet. That's okay. That's why it's watercolor. It's artistic. So we're just going to chalk that up to artistry. And I'm going to grab a little bit more purple. I could also add some black to this. But I wanted it just to be a little bit purpler. Because the cherry blossom is kind of a little purpley too, you know. All right, so here we go. I'm going to add in here, and then this will finish off my flowers. And these are really pretty. And the leaves go quick because the leaves only have 2 layers, but there's 2 sets of leaves. So I always like to have some different colors with those. Okay, how does that look? I think I like it. Yes. All right, so you can see I kind of blubbed a little bit, but that's fine. Yes, Cece, try this tomorrow. It's super fun. And you can see it already is supposed to be watercolory. And so therefore, you're going to get that watercolory look. And it's always going to be a little bit different each time that you do it, which is kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to come in. I just got this retractable eraser. So I'm going to grab this. And I'm just going to use this to clean up these 3 little things that I made. So that way those will go away. You can also use your stamp conditioning eraser as an eraser, believe it or not. Okay, now I'm just going to dry that. Make sure that's okay. And then we're going to come in with the leaves. Okay. Oh, really, Lori? Oh, that's too bad. We're always on Mondays and Thursdays at 3:30. Mondays and Thursdays at 3:30, and then Lydia does one on Instagram on Wednesdays, and I think it's at noon. And of course, everything is Altanu time, which is Eastern Standard Time. All right, so that was the first stencil. So that was just the first stencil. We had three layers of the flowers. So now we're going to move over to the next stencil, which we're going to now start the leaves. So there's 2 stencils that deal with leaves, actually technically 4. So the first one we're going to do is Bee Stencil. And Bee Stencil has a base layer and it has a detail layer. So we're going to start off with the base layer. And it tells you in the directions which way to go. So it says rotate the stencil 6 degrees counterclockwise. And that's a little bit too much math for me. So for me, I and just kind of do it like I can. There's also these little like cutouts, these little laser cutouts, and that's really what I do. So I'm kind of in the finagling grouping. I really don't know, as much as I should, I really don't know how much 6 degrees is. It's a little bitish that way. And so there we go. All right, so that's lined up. Now that looks pretty good. And with those laser cutouts they have now, it makes life just a lot easier to see, I have to say. All right. Okay, so we have, on this stencil, we have some base layers for the greenery, and then we also have some middles for those 2. Okay, here we go. On there. All right, so I'm going to grab, my number 4 brush again. And I'm just making sure that all that pink and everything is off. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab some greens. So my first set of greens I'm going to do is kind of like truey greens or like yellowy greens. And those ones I'm going to grab from, there we go. I'm going to grab some Tropical Forest. So I'm just kind of adding this to my palette. And that's a little green for me. So I think I want to kind of add a little bit less yellow. So I want it to be a little bit more of a truer green. So I'm going to add in just a little, I'm going to make my own here and just add in some green fields. Oh, sorry, green hills. Okay, and that's just going to make it a little bit greener. Oh, wow, popcorn with Sprite. Yes, you've entered the Twilight Zone, Lori. Now it popped up. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, it's like one of those things where I'm glad you're here. I'm definitely glad you're here. All right, so I have my little kind of trusty guy here, and I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to start painting a little bit. That's a little bit dark for me. So let me do one thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that water off, that pigment, and then I'm just going to add in some color. And you're like, whoa, Amy, you just went from like a dark guy to like nothing. Yeah, I know. Hold on. It's going to make sense in a second. Okay, so I'm just adding some water, and now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to drop in a little bit of color here. There we go. And just a little bit. And again, I'm trying to keep this very, very light on the water because I want to, I don't want it to kind of run where I don't want it to go. All right, so I'm coming in here, doing the same thing. I'm just, whatever's on my brush, I'm just kind of moving in. That was way too much water. And I'm just kind of moving it around. And then I'm going to come in and I will drop in some color that I made over here. And this was Green Hills and Tropical Forest. So it's kind of a yellowy green. I usually do like a yellowy green and then I do like a blue green. That's the way I kind of do it. And you notice I'm kind of trying to like stay one thing, you know, as we go along. All right. Here we go. And again, thank you for the reminder. If you share this live while we're live, you'll be entered to win a $15 gift card. And we are playing with the new subscription, which is Stencil Art. And this one is Watercolor Playful Watercolor Flowers. Playful Watercolor Flowers. Really like this set though. It's really, really pretty. And I'm okay if that's starting to move under there. I'm all right with that. That's okay. And I'm just coming in. This is nice too because I have a lot of control here that if I wanted to add in some brown, I can do so on those stems. I'm going to keep them green right now. I'm going to keep them green. But we'll keep moving in. Okay. And this is a really fun little set because like I said, you can try different color combinations. You can try a bunch of different things, different media that you might want to work with. All right, so I just grabbed some more water and now I'm coming in with that water and I'm coming on in. Oh, thank you so much. That would actually work, Leslie. I don't have a magnetic net mat. I have to say this, the satin tape is fabulous. So you see me, I'm still, it's not only am I reusing the same exact satin tape, this is satin tape I had from another project that I did earlier. Like this stuff works. But yes, I think the magnetic and the glass mat's nice because you can you will be able to you know, use your heat tool without any sort of fear on a glass mat. These ones can handle it. I just can't sit there and like bake it. But it's totally fine with what it's doing. Okay, that was too much water. Here we go. And up here now. So again, this is just the base layer of leaves. I'm just going to add just a little bit more. So I'm going to come in with another color. All right, so that's just the base layer of leaves. Now I still also have these guys in the middle. So I want to make them yellow. So I'm going to just kind of get rid of that water and I'm going to pull in some Pocketful of Sunshine. Not there. All right, and I'm just going to grab some Pocketful of Sunshine. And I'm adding this kind of straight on, not really mushing with it. And you can see it's kind of going right over that little bit of purple, which is fine. So this is going to be nice and vibrant, these little centers. Okay, so now I got that. Oh, yes, and exactly, Tracy. That's exactly what it is. It's just trying to go for that delicate look. All right, now as a reminder, I had that base layer, so that's drying over here. It's doing a nice little job. So we're going to end up putting it on this and we'll get there. Oh, yes, thank you so much. This is having so much fun here. So now I'm going to pull this off and we're going to dry that up. And you can see how nice that looks. And like I said, I'm using a very large piece of paper. And that would probably be my biggest recommendation with this is as soon as you get this set, try it on a large, like an 8.5 by 11. Try it on a big piece of paper because this is a nice expansive floral set. And you're going to cut it down and you're going to use pieces of it. And that's totally fine. And that's what I would do. Am doing. All right. So I'm just going to dry these leaves real fast. And you can see I got a little bit under the leaf. It's fine. That's the whole look of it, is it's supposed to be watercolor. So if we're watercoloring it, then that's great, right? Okay, so now we're going to make these a little bit darker. And I'm going to pull in a little bit of a darker green. I'm going to make a baby with what I have on there. And it's and that's why I like using the palette over here, is I can kind of create little color babies on the side. All right, so now I have this. This should lay right on top of where I was, and I just got to kind of shmoogie it into position. And I'm using, there's also on here, you can see the outline of the flowers. And so I'm using that to help me to figure out where the heck these guys go. And just kind of shmugging it into position here. There we go. All right. Okay, and that looks good. So I'm going to grab my tape and go ahead and put this guy down. And really, really super fast to line up. I usually have a little bit of trouble with stencils sometimes, but this one I've been finding is actually really easy to do. So yeah, layering is so pretty, Leslie. Wait till you get your hands on this. So, so nice. All right, so I'm going to grab my #1 brush again. And I have this, which is a mix of green hills and tropical forests. And I'm going to pull in some green meadows and put that together with it. And then I'm going to mix these together. So I'm going to make a baby with these. So it's a little bit greeny yellow, but it's a little bit darker. And in fact, I think I'm going to grab a little bit of Fall Harvest. Oh, I just made that. And just add that in just to get that a little bit darker too. So it's a little less like green and a little bit more on the yellow side, but it's a dark yellow. We'll throw that guy in there too. Okay, so now I'm going to come in. This is pretty wet, so I'm going to just kind of try to dry that off, and I'm just going to come on in, and I'm just going to start to layer this down. And notice I'm not adding water because I want this to be intense. I want the color to be fairly intense with this. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this color down. And this is our detail. If you want to, we could do different colors, and I'll show you that on the next one. But I'm also just trying to make sure we hit the time of this so you guys can see what the heck we do with it. But so pretty, so nice to do. This also makes me feel like I'm kind of like learning about watercoloring as I go. So it's kind of fun. Yes, these are babies. These are all watercolor babies, Tracy. They're having watercolor babies on my palette. I love the question of like what color combinations you would have used, what you would have put together. And that's why I like the artist color, the artist pan set versus the 36 pan set, because it's about the color families. And so you're adding in, different amounts of water, or you can add a little bit of brown or a little bit of gray in order to get some different hues. And I kind of like having that level of control with it. So I rarely use the colors from the set as intended. I kind of mix and create my own colors. So I make a lot of watercolor babies, but then a lot of times I can't do it again. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, what was this color? I have no idea. Like if I showed you what my original looks like, you'd be like, those don't look alike. That would be true. All right, so now we have the centers, and I'm going to pull in, I'm going to make another color baby here with my yellow, and I'm going to pull in Autumn Blaze and make that a little bit on the, pulling in a little Fiery Sunset. Okay, and I'm trying to get it out of the water, and we're just going to start dabbing that sucker in. Okay, and I got a cat hair. Pull that out. And this is just going to make that yellow have a little bit more orange on it. And you can see I'm just kind of stippling that in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's exactly, Leslie. You can add all of these together to create these beautiful tones. And that's the neat thing about watercolor is I'm not stuck with one thing. I can really kind of mix and match and create my own thing. I like that freedom to really see what I can do with it. Okay, so we got this. So that was stencil B. So we got one set of leaves done. And so now we're going to do the second set of leaves. So all we have left here are 2 more stencils. And these are coming out really, really super nice. And you can see that we still have the detail on all of leaves. So we can still see them going on there because we're using the stencil. All right, I'm just double checking. We're looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to the C stencil. And the C stencil C1 is our second set of leaves. And again, this time we're going to line it up with the leaves that we already have down. So we're not lining it up with the flowers. So I'm going to start with this leaf, and then we also have these leaves, and it's just telling me kind of where to go. Also in the directions, it tells you to like go 15 degrees, I don't know, some sort of math business. And I just was like, I'm going to not do the math business. Okay, there we go. These leaves I'm going to make a little bit different. All right, great. So glad you guys are enjoying this. And Shiamara, you are never late. You are always on time, right? Wherever you end up, you are always on time whenever you get there. And just for those of you who might have shown up just now, just to let you know, we are playing with the stencil. So this is a new subscription called Stencil Art from Altenew, and it's going to come out every other month. And I like the fact that it's coming out every other month. Sometimes I feel like with the subscriptions, because you're getting it like every month, it's like, there's so much going on. But this one is really, really nice. So this is the Stencil Art Playful Watercolor Flowers, and we're kind of making this, but instead of using inking, we're using watercolor to stencil this, along with the stencils. All right. So now we have these nice big ones. So I'm going to switch back over to my number 4 brush because I need a little bit more water. And here's my water looking disgusting over here. You guys can't see it because it's out of frame. And I'm going to grab a different section of my palette. So I'm going to use this section here. And I'm going to start off with Seashore. And Seashore is kind of an aqua color. And I'm also going to grab Green Meadows, which is a very, very bright green. All right, I'm going to make these two have a little baby. So add a little bit more blue in here. All right, now I need some more water because that's way too dark. So now we're going to go ahead and put these in. So it's a little bit dark. Got my trusty little guy, and now we're going to go in and we're going to do the same thing. So this is my second set of leaves. And I'm just adding this base color on. Again, trying not, this is kind of the art of it, is having too much water or not enough. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Mary. I do too. It's not a medium I always run to because I have to sit down and do it. It's something that I have to like say, okay, I got time. I have this amount of time. A lot of times I color on the go, so I use colored pencils or I use artist markers. When I take the kids to their event, like their sporting events and stuff, a lot of the parents will come up to me and they're like, oh, so what are you working on today? And they're looking at, I got to talk to them about, what I'm doing and what I'm coloring. And it was nice. I had a mom from an opposing team one time. She was asking me what I was doing. And we were talking about coloring and art crafting. So even though she was on the opposing team, it was working. All right, you can just see that color. So it's a little bit of a contrast with the other ones as well. Oh yeah, Leslie. I got out the watercolor pencils, which I really, really like to use, just in case if I wanted that extra detail. Those are always nice to have around and very, very easy to use and really, really great for when you're on the go. And now that there's the new foldable mat, I'm really excited because I am somebody who is always on the go with kids traveling and they have all kind of their things to do. All right, so these buds up here that I'm coloring right now, these are always the ones when I was cutting this out as like a 6x6, they were always like getting cut off or something was going on. So that's why I'm recommending that when you use this stencil initially to use it with a larger piece of paper. So just be okay that you're going to put this in with a larger piece of paper first. All right, so this is a little bit wet. I'm going to add a little bit more pigment to these guys just to get that a little bit darker. We'll run through. Okay. All right, so also now I'm about to do the flower centers, right? I know, Tracy, good sportsmanship. Well, you know, just because we're there rooting for kids on opposing teams doesn't mean we can't talk about crafting. A little bit of crafting going on. All right, so the last thing I added in was Autumn Blaze to this. So we have a little bit of warm and cozy, summer after, or in Pocket Full of Sunshine. What I want now is I want a little bit more brown. So I'm going to grab some Delectable Delights. And I still have that orange and stuff. That's why I like to use the palette, because I'm just kind of adding and trying to deepen the colors out. Ooh, let's add a little bit of that coffee. I want it to be a little bit darker than that. A little bit of coffee break. There we go. And let's pull some of this in. A little Fall Harvest. Too much Fall Harvest. All right, let's fix that. And add a little bit more brown. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I got a little bit too much water. Just kind of put that off. Dry this out. Here we go. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of stipple this in. And you can see I'm just holding that stencil down to make sure that all goes where I want it to go. So that's all that dark. Less water, you're going to have a darker color on there. All right, so now we have one more stencil to go. Okay. Ugh. That mushed up my middle. That's all right. So I got a little overzealous with the brown, but we'll fix that. That's okay. All right. What you don't see me doing is I'm just kind of like clearing out. I'm just wiping off and cleaning up my stencils as I go along, just in case if I have to put anything back down again. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this. All right. So now my base layers are dry of my leaves. And now we're going to add in some details. So here's my last stencil. So this says stencil number 5, even though it's like technically C2. And it's lining up with the leaves, not with the flowers. So if you're like, oh, where's this going? That's where it's going to. Okay, how are we doing? We got 424. I think I'm just going to make it here. And I'll show you where this kind of ends up. Oh, yes, that's what I'm going to try. Yes, that's what in my kitchen toweling, I'm going to grab and I'll fix that brown. Yeah, it's there. All right, so I want this to be a little bit darker. And remember, I still have this on my palette over here from what I made before. So I'm going to grab my number 1, make sure that that's nice and cleaned off because I had all the brown and whatnot over there. And I'm actually going to grab some Starry Night. I think I want Starry Night. Nope, I want a little darker. So I'm going to grab Cool Summer Night, which is a darker blue. So pretty. That blue is pretty. And then I'm going to mix these two and we're going to have a baby. So now I have this kind of like blue-green that I'm looking for. And now I'm going to come in. Let me just get it a little bit wetter. There we go. Just going to add that little bit water to kind of loosen up that pigment. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start painting. And I think I want that a little bit darker. So let's add a little bit more pigment. Put too much water in. There we go. So I'm going to glaze this right over the top. This section of leaf is like, didn't have that green undertone, but I want it to be. Okay, so now I'm coming in here. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't have too much water on my brush, and that's always kind of the tricky part. So Cece, you can right now get it. And the link was put in before, and I think you can buy it as is, or you can sign up for the subscription. If you head over to the website, they'll have, and there's a ton of information about the subscription if you wanted to sign up. And this is kind of a cool one. There's also, right now, there's not a coordinating die, but they expect in the future they're going to be releasing coordinating dies, but those will be independent of the subscription. So the subscription will just be the stencil, and then the die is like, hey, if you want it, because sometimes you don't need the die. I cut these out by hand. It wasn't really that hard, and I have scissor problems, so it actually worked out fine. But on the, yes, thank you so much. I know, blue, blue, blue. This is great. And like I said, you have so much control over the colors. If I were to blend this, I don't get as much control over the colors. I'm kind of stuck with whatever colors are, that are there. But because I'm able to use the watercolor, I can kind of create exactly what I want. And I like that. I like that power, And this blue with the green is really pretty. It's really, really super pretty. Okay. All right. So that's our last one. So now let me pull this up. And I think I have just enough time to show you the other one. So this is it. So nice, right? So nice. So let me pull this up. How I would fix this little brown spot is I would just add some water, use a paper towel, dab that off, and then I would just put some more pink purple down. But I just want to show that to you versus the blending card. And it's still so super bright. You're still getting the details. And like I said, you can kind of have that control over the things that you want to do. So that's stencil. So think about that stencil art. So I promised I'd show you one more thing, and that was how we can use that stencil with this guy. So let me grab a little bit of my tape, and I'm just going to put this down because it's a little bit cockeyed here. And what I would do is I'm going to grab my leaf bed stencil, and I'm just going to place this right on here. I'm going to tape it down, if I can find my tape. And once I tape this down, I'm going to take some darker colors, and I'm just going to go right over this, the top of this. So I'm actually going to I'm going to start off with some of that purple. And I have my number 4 brush here. I'm just going to grab some shades of purple. And instead of kind of like, I'm just going to go right over it. And I want this to be dark. I want it to be kind of wettish, not too wettish, but I want it to be wettish. And just to show you guys what happens, you get this kind of ghost effect off the bottom. So no, Tracy, this is a separate stencil. So part of this live I wanted to do was like, how do you layer stencils? And I know that the other one is, these are layering stencils, but this is like, hey, I have all these other stencils in my stash. What the heck do I do with them? And you can actually take stencils and use them for background. So kind of like the idea I did here for the warp speed stencil. And then this is the effect that you're going to get with this stencil. So this is the leaf bed stencil. So I'm doing that same exact technique. So I made a nice like light wash and then put the stencil on top of it. And then this is what I would do is just cut out that stencil. Now, just to show you the sheer size of this sucker. So this is our Playful Watercolor Flowers. And this is from the Stencil Art set. And this is a piece of 6x6 paper. And so you can see it's actually slightly larger than the 6x6 paper. And so what I would do is I would cut this out or cut it into parts and then use all of those parts. So that's what I would absolutely do. And it's a nice thing to have. And I really encourage you to take a look at this set. I think it's a fabulous new subscription that's out. I'm really excited to play with it. And think about using it not just with inking, but also with your watercolors or with your artist markers, gouache, anything that you have, think about it in a different way. So, oh my gosh. Hi, Edie. It's so nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. And I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. We're just at our time. Yes, I'm going to cut it up, Tracy. It's going to get cut. Sorry, everybody. I know that's controversial, but this sucker is going to get cut up. It's so pretty, though, just even as its own. It really, really is nice. All right, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for coming on this little bit of a watercolor journey. And thank you so much to Altenew for being behind the badge. And thank you so much for sharing this live while we're live. And I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous day. Thank you guys so much again. All right, bye, everybody.